The escape pod hit the ground with a sound like thunder. Metal screamed against rock as it bounced twice before sliding to a stop in a cloud of dust and smoke. Inside the small craft, Zara felt her world spinning. Her head hurt badly in something. Warm ran down her face. Blood, she realized with growing panic. She had to get out. The Corvan ships might still be following her. The thought of those massive reptilian creatures made her small body shake with fear. She pushed against the pod's door with her tiny hands, but it would not move. The crash had bent the metal frame. Zara was small, even for her people. The Velith were known across the galaxy as prey animals. They looked like rabbits that could walk on two legs, with soft gray fur and large dark eyes. Most species saw them as food or slaves, nothing more. Her people had once been proud and smart. They built cities and studied the stars. But that was long ago, before the bigger species found them. Now most Velith lived in fear, hiding on distant worlds or serving as slaves to creatures who saw them as less than animals. The pod's door finally gave way with a loud crack. Zara stumbled out into the bright sunlight of an alien world. The air smelled clean and fresh, not like the recycled air of her research ship. She looked around with wide eyes, trying to understand where she was. The landscape was beautiful, but strange. Green grass-covered rolling hills that stretched to the horizon. Strange trees with silver leaves grew in small groups. Two suns hung in the purple sky, one large and yellow, one smaller and red. It was peaceful here, almost too peaceful, but Zara knew better than to trust peaceful places. In her experience, they usually hid the worst dangers. She tried to walk, but her left leg hurt badly. Looking down, she saw that her simple brown clothes were torn and stained with blood. The crash had hurt her more than she first thought. She needed to find shelter and tend to her wounds. Before nightfall, that was when she heard the sound of footsteps. Heavy footsteps. The kind made by something much bigger than herself. Zara froze like a statue. Every instinct her people had developed over centuries of being hunted told her to run. But her injured leg would not carry her far. She was trapped. The footsteps came. Closer. Through the smoke still rising from her crashed pod, she saw a shape moving toward her. It was tall and walked on two legs like she did, but it was at least 3 times her size. As it came closer, she could see more details that made her heart race with terror. It was a human. Zara had heard stories about humans. They were predators, like so many of the bigger species. They had sharp teeth and ate meat. They were strong and fast and smart. Some said they were the worst kind of predator because they could be kind when they wanted something, then cruel when they got bored. The human was a male, she could tell. He had short brown hair and wore simple clothes that looked like work gear. His skin was tan from working under suns. He was not as big as a Corvan, but he was still giant compared to her. His hands could easily crush her small body. Jake Miller had been working in his garden when he heard the crash. The sound had echoed across the valley like a bomb going off. He dropped his tools and ran toward the smoke rising from the hills behind his house. Living on a frontier world, crashes usually meant someone needed help. As he got closer to the wreckage, he could see it was some kind of escape pod. The metal was scorched and bent, but the design was not human. Alien technology, then. That was not uncommon out here on the edge of known space. All kinds of ships passed through this area. He slowed his pace as he approached the pod. Through the smoke, he could see movement. Someone had survived the crash. Good. He quickened his steps again, pulling his first aid kit from his belt. He always carried one when working away from the house. Then he saw her. The alien was small and looked hurt. She had soft gray fur and large dark eyes that reminded him of a rabbit. She was standing very still, staring at him with what looked like pure terror. Blood ran down the side of her face from a cut on her head. Jake stopped walking. He had seen that look before in the eyes of wounded animals. It was the look of something that expected to die. "Hey there," he said softly, keeping his voice low and calm. "Are you okay?" The alien did not answer. She probably did not understand his language. But she took a small step backward, almost falling because of her injured leg. Jake raised his hand slowly, palms out, trying to show he meant no harm. Easy now, I just want to help. He had no idea what species she was, but it did not matter. She was hurt and scared, and that was enough. Jake had been a soldier once before he came to this world to start a new life. He had seen too much violence and cruelty in the galaxy. He had come here to get away from all that. Zara watched the human approach and felt her world narrow to a single point of fear. This was it. This was how she would die. Far from home, alone. Eaten by a creature that probably saw her as nothing more than a snack. The human was talking to her in a language she did not know. His voice was deep but not harsh. He moved slowly, his big hands held out where she could see them. This confused her. Why was he not grabbing her? Why was he not showing his teeth? Maybe he was playing with her. Some predators like to toy with their prey before eating them. That must be it. But then the human did something that made no sense at all. He knelt down on the ground, making himself smaller. He was still much bigger than her, but the gesture was strange. Predators did not make themselves smaller. They made themselves bigger to frighten their prey. I know you cannot understand me, Jake said quietly, but I am not going to hurt you. You are safe here. He opened his first aid kit and showed her the supplies inside. Bandages, antiseptic, pain medication. He pointed to the cut on her head, then to the bandages, trying to communicate that he wanted to help her wounds. Zara stared at the human in complete confusion. Nothing about this made sense. In her experience, bigger species only showed kindness. When they wanted something, usually something that would hurt her in the end, but she was bleeding badly and her leg hurt so much she could barely stand. If this human wanted to eat her, he could easily catch her whether she cooperated or not. Maybe if she let him help her wounds, she would be strong enough to escape later. Slowly, very slowly, she nodded her head. Jake smiled, and Zara noticed that his teeth were not as sharp as she had expected. He had some pointed teeth, yes, but also flat ones like plant eaters had. This was another puzzle that did not fit what she knew about predators. Good, Jake said softly. Let me help you. He moved toward her with careful, gentle motions. When he reached for her head to examine the cut, Zara flinched but did not run. His hands were warm and surprisingly gentle. He cleaned the blood away with a soft cloth, then applied medicine that made the pain go away. There, he said when he was done, that should help. He looked at her injured leg next. The bone was not broken, but she had twisted it badly in the crash. Jake wrapped it with an elastic bandage that would support it while she walked through all of this. Zara remained tense and ready to run, but the human never hurt her. He never even held her tightly enough to prevent her from escaping. His touch was careful and kind, like he was handling something precious instead of something he planned to eat. When he was finished, Jake sat back on his heels and looked at her with concerned eyes. You need food and rest, he said, and a safe place to recover. He stood up and gestured toward the hills where smoke was rising from what must be his home. Then he looked back at her and waited. Zara faced an impossible choice. She could try to run and probably die from her wounds in the wilderness, or she could trust this strange human who had shown her more kindness in 10 minutes than she had received from any large species in her entire life. The smart thing would be to run. Every instinct told her to run, but as she looked into the human's eyes, she saw something she had never seen before in the gaze of a predator. She saw compassion. Against all logic and experience, Zara took a step toward the human. The walk to the human's home took much longer than it should have. Zara's injured leg made every step painful, and she had to stop many times to rest. The human, who had told her his name was Jake, never showed any sign of being annoyed. He waited patiently each time she needed to stop, and he offered to carry her more than once. Zara refused to be carried. Being picked up by a predator was too frightening, even one that seemed kind. She would rather walk slowly and keep her freedom to run if needed. As they walked, Jake talked to her in his strange language. She could not understand the words, but his tone was gentle and calm. Sometimes he would point to things and say their names. A tree, a rock, a bird flying overhead. He seemed to be trying to teach her his language, which was another puzzle. Why would a predator care if its prey could talk? The human's home surprised her. It was not a cave or a dark place where predators usually lived. It was a small house, made of wood and stone, with bright windows and flowers growing outside. Smoke came from a chimney, and the smell was not the smell of cooking meat. It smelled like bread and vegetables. As they approached the house, 2 more humans came out to meet them. Zara's heart jumped with new fear. More predators meant more danger. But Jake called out to them in a happy voice, and they responded the same way. One was a female human with long blonde hair tied back in a simple style. She wore clothes like Jake's, practical and clean. The other was smaller, younger, with the same features as the female. A child, Zara realized. The young human had curious eyes and a friendly smile. "Lisa, Emma," Jake said, speaking slowly so Zara could start to learn the names. "This is our guest." The female human, Lisa, looked at Zara with wide eyes. But there was no hunger in her gaze, only concern. She said something quickly to Jake, and he answered in the same urgent tone. They were talking about her, Zara knew, but she could not tell if they were deciding how to cook her or something else. The young human, Emma, stepped forward with a big smile. She was still much bigger than Zara, but she moved slowly and carefully. She said something in a gentle voice and held out her hand. Zara stared at the offered hand. In her experience, when bigger creatures reached for her, it meant pain. But Emma just waited, her hand extended, not trying to grab or force anything. "She wants to shake hands," Jake explained, though Zara could not understand his words. "It is how we greet friends." Very slowly, Zara reached out and touched Emma's hand with her own tiny one. Emma's hand was warm and soft, and she moved very gently. She wrapped her fingers around Zara's small hand and moved it up and down once, then let go. "Welcome," Emma said clearly. And somehow Zara understood that this word meant something good. Lisa stepped forward next. But she did not try to touch Zara. Instead, she knelt down to be closer to Zara's height, just like Jake had done. She spoke in a soft voice and gestured toward the house. "She is inviting you inside," Jake said. "You need food and rest." The inside of the house was even more surprising than the outside. Everything was clean and bright. Soft chairs and a table made of wood. Pictures on the walls showing the 3 humans smiling together. Books on shelves. It looked like a place where people lived in peace, not where predators planned their hunts. Lisa led Zara to a soft chair near a warm fire. She brought a small stool so Zara could put her injured leg up. Then she went to the kitchen area and began preparing something that smelled wonderful. Emma sat on the floor near Zara's chair, but not too close. She had a small device in her hands that she showed to Zara. When she pressed a button, it made sounds. After a moment, Zara realized it was trying to speak her language. "Hello," the device said in Zara's own tongue. "Can you understand me?" Zara nearly fell off her chair in surprise. She had not heard her own language since escaping from the Corvan ship. Tears filled her eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "I can understand." Emma smiled and showed the device to her parents. They looked excited and pleased. Jake said something to Emma, who typed on the device. Then the device spoke again. "My name is Emma. This is my father Jake and my mother Lisa. You are safe here. We want to help you." Zara stared at the device, then at the 3 humans. "Why?" she asked through the machine. "Why do you want to help me?" The humans looked at each other. Jake took the device and typed something carefully. "Because you are hurt and scared? Because it is the right thing to do?" "We do not hurt people who need help." "People?" Zara asked. "You call me people?" "Yes," came the answer through the device. "You are a person, you think and feel, and have a name. That makes you people." This was more confusing than anything else that had happened. In Zara's experience, only species that were the same as you were called people. Everyone else was just animals or food or slaves. Lisa brought a bowl of something that smelled amazing. It was a soup made with vegetables and grains, no meat. When Zara tasted it, she almost cried again. It was delicious and warm and filling. She had not eaten anything this good in weeks. "We grow our own food," Jake explained through the device. We do not eat meat very often. Only sometimes, and never from thinking creatures. You do not eat meat? Zara asked. We can eat meat, Emma answered. But we choose not to most of the time. We think it is better to grow plants for food. It hurts no one. Zara looked around at the peaceful house, at the kind faces of the humans, at the warm fire and good food. Nothing about this made sense with what she knew about predators. I do not understand, she said through the device. Your people are strong. You have sharp teeth. You could take whatever you want. Why do you choose to be kind? Jake typed for a long time before answering. Strength is not about taking what you want. Real strength is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. We are strong so we can choose to be kind. But I am just a Velith, Zara said. My people are prey animals. We are not important. Everyone knows this. The three humans looked at each other with expressions Zara could not read. Lisa took the device and typed something. Who told you that you are not important? The device asked. Everyone, Zara answered. The Corvins who captured my ship, the traders who sell my people as slaves, the governments that will not let us have our own worlds. Everyone knows that Velith are just prey animals. Jake took the device back. They are wrong. Every thinking person has value. Every life matters. What they have done to your people is evil. Evil? Zara had never heard anyone call the treatment of her people evil. It was just the way things were. Yes, Emma typed. It is evil to hurt people who cannot fight back. It is evil to make people into slaves. It is evil to say some people matter less than others. But this is how the galaxy works, Zara said. The strong rule the weak. It has always been this way. Not here, Lisa typed. On this world, we try to do better. We try to be what people should be, not what they often are. Jake stood up and walked to a window. He looked out at the peaceful landscape, then came back to the device. This world is called Haven's Edge, he typed. We came here to get away from the cruelty of the galaxy. We wanted to build something better, a place where people could be safe, no matter how big or small they are. Are there others like me here? Zara asked. Yes, Emma typed quickly. There are Velith here, and Tanari and Squeep and other people that the big species hunt. They all live here safely. Zara felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. Could it be true? Could there really be a place where her people could live without fear? Why do you do this? She asked. What do you gain from protecting us? Jake smiled and typed his answer. Carefully. We gain the chance to be the kind of people we want to be. We gain friends and neighbors who make our world better. We gain the knowledge that we are doing something good. But you could be rich and powerful if you sold us to the slavers, Zara said. Money and power mean nothing if you have to hurt innocent people to get them, Lisa typed. We would rather be poor and good than rich and evil. As the day went on, Zara began to understand that these humans were unlike any creatures she had ever met. They fed her good food without asking for anything in return. They gave her soft clothes to replace her torn ones. They prepared a small room for her to sleep in, with a bed and blankets and a window that looked out on the peaceful valley. But most importantly, they never made her feel like a prisoner. The door to her room had no lock. She could leave whenever she wanted. They made this clear to her through the translation device. You are not our prisoner, Jake had typed. You are our guest. You can stay as long as you want or leave whenever you choose. The choice is yours. That night, as Zara lay in a real bed for the first time in months, she stared out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Corvins were probably still looking for her. They would not give up easily. A Vela scientist was valuable to them, but for tonight she was safe. For tonight she was with people who saw her as a person, not a thing. For tonight she could rest without fear. As she drifted off to sleep, Zara wondered if she was dreaming. Could such kindness really exist? Could there really be predators who chose to protect instead of hunt? Tomorrow she would have to decide what to do next. Stay and risk bringing danger to these kind humans, or leave and face the dangers of the galaxy alone. But tonight, for the first time in her life, Zara felt what it was like to be truly safe. 3 days passed in the Miller house, and Zara felt like she was living in a dream. Each morning, Lisa would wake her gently and offer her breakfast. Each day, Emma would teach her new words in the human language while showing her around their home. Each evening, Jake would sit with her by the fire and tell her stories about their world. But the most amazing thing was not the kindness they showed her. It was the way they lived their lives. Zara watched them work together to take care of their home. Jake tended their garden, growing vegetables and fruits that fed not just his family but several neighbors. Lisa worked with cloth and thread, making clothes for people in their small community. Emma studied books that taught her about science and history and art. They were not just surviving. They were building something beautiful. "Why do you work so hard?" Zara asked Jake one afternoon. She was sitting in the garden, watching him plant seeds for winter vegetables. Her leg was much better now, as she could walk without pain. "We work hard because we want to make things better," Jake replied, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Not just for us, but for everyone who lives here." "But you could take things from others," Zara said. "You are strong enough? Why do you choose to work instead?" Jake sat down beside her, dirt still on his hands. "Because taking things from others makes the world worse. Making things ourselves makes the world better." "Which kind of world do you want to live in?" Zara thought about this. On her home world, before the Corvins came, her people had worked together like this. They had built beautiful cities and made wonderful inventions. But then the bigger species arrived, and everything changed. "My people used to work together," she said quietly. "We built things. We studied the stars. We made art and music and stories. What happened to that?" Jake asked. "The Corvins came. They said we were just animals. They said animals did not need cities or art or stories. They took everything and made us into slaves." Jake's face became very serious. "That was wrong. What they did was evil? But they were stronger than us." Zara said, "In the galaxy, might makes right. Everyone knows this." "Not everyone," Jake said. "Not us." That evening, Jake took Zara to meet some of their neighbors. The translation device let her talk to them, and she learned amazing things about the humans who lived on Haven's Edge. There was Ben, who had been a soldier like Jake. He now taught children from different species how to read and write. There was Mary, who had been a doctor on a big space station. She now took care of anyone who got sick or hurt, no matter what species they were. There was old Frank, who had been a trader traveling between worlds. He now used his knowledge to help hide Haven's Edge from the galactic shipping routes. And there was young Tom, who had been born on this world and knew no other life than one of peace and kindness. "We all came here for different reasons," Ben explained to Zara, "but we all wanted the same thing. A place where we could be good people." "What do you mean?" Zara asked. "Out there," Mary said, pointing to the stars, "people do terrible things every day. They buy and sell thinking beings. Like animals. They destroy worlds for profit. They hurt anyone who is smaller or weaker than them." "We got tired of being part of that," Frank added. "We wanted to build something different, something better." "But do you not miss being powerful?" Zara asked. "Do you not miss having wealth and control over others?" The humans looked at each other and smiled. Tom, the youngest, answered her question. "We are more powerful here than we ever were out there," he said. "Out there, we were just small parts of a big, cruel machine. Here, we can change things. We can make lives better. We can protect people who need protection. And we are richer here than we ever were with money," Mary said. "We have friends who trust us. We have work that matters. We have the knowledge that we are doing good in the world." Over the following days, Zara met more people who lived on Haven's Edge. She met other Velith, families who had escaped from slavers and found safety here. She met Tenari, small blue beings who had been hunted for their beautiful shells. She met Squeep, furry creatures who had been captured and forced to work in dangerous mines. All of them told her the same story. They had been hurt and scared and hopeless. Then they had found Haven's Edge, and humans had protected them. Not for money or power, but simply because it was the right thing to do. At first we did not trust them, said Nim, an old Velith who had been on the world for 5 years. How could we? They were big and strong, and we had learned to fear big and strong creatures. But they proved themselves, said Kira, a young Tanari mother. Day after day, month after month, they showed us that they were different. They kept us safe and asked for nothing in return. Now we work together, said Buzz, a squeep who had become the best mechanic on the world. We use our different skills to help each other. The humans protect us, and we help them build this world. Zara learned that Haven's Edge was not just a place where refugees live safely. It was a place where different species work together as equals. The Velith used their scientific knowledge to improve farming and medicine. The Tinari used their artistic skills to make beautiful things. The Squeep used their technical abilities to build and repair machines, and the humans used their strength and military skills to protect everyone. We are not perfect, Jake told her one evening as they watched the sunset. We make mistakes. We sometimes disagree about things, but we try to be better than we were before. How do you decide what is right? Zara asked. In the galaxy, the strong decide what is right, but here you have many different species. How do you choose? We talk, Jake said simply. We listen to each other. We try to understand different points of view. Then we choose the path that helps the most people and hurts the fewest. But what if someone disagrees? What if they want to do something harmful? Then we stop them, Jake said. Kindness does not mean being weak. Sometimes protecting good people means fighting bad people. That night, Zara lay in her bed thinking about everything she had learned. Haven's Edge was not just a place where her people could be safe. It was a place where they could be themselves again, where they could use their minds and skills to build something beautiful. For the first time since leaving her homeworld, Zara began to think about the future instead of just surviving each day, but her peaceful thoughts were interrupted by a sound outside her window. Jake was talking to someone in urgent, quiet tones. Zara got up and looked out. Jake was speaking to Ben and 2 other humans she did not recognize. They looked worried and kept glancing at the sky. Zara felt a cold fear settle in her stomach. She had seen that look before on the faces of her people when the Corvans came. It was the look of people who knew danger was coming. She put on her clothes and went outside. The humans stopped talking when they saw her, but she could see the worry in their eyes. What is wrong? She asked. Jake looked at the other humans, then back at her. We have received a message, he said quietly. Ships have been asking questions about escaped Velith in nearby systems. They are looking for someone. The Corvans, Zara whispered. They are looking for me. We think so, Ben said. They have been searching for days. They have not found this world yet, but they are getting closer. Zara felt her world crashing down around her. The Corvans would not stop looking for her. She was too valuable to them. A Vela scientist knew things that were worth a fortune. To slavers, I have to leave, she said. I cannot bring danger to you and your families. No, Jake said firmly. We will not let you go back to them. But they will find this world because of me, Zara said. They will hurt everyone here. They will destroy everything you have built. Maybe, Jake said. But running away will not solve anything. They will still find other refugees. They will still hurt innocent people. Then what do we do? Zara asked. Jake looked at his neighbors and they all nodded. We do what we came here to do, he said. We protect people who need protection. We stand up to bullies. We show them that some things are worth fighting for. But you could be killed, Zara said. All of you could die because of me. We could die anyway, Mary said. People like the Corvans do not leave peaceful worlds alone forever. Eventually, they always come for what they want. At least this way, we die fighting for something good, Frank added. At least we die protecting someone who deserves protection. Zara felt tears running down her face. These humans were willing to risk everything for her. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. Not because she was valuable to them, but because they believed she had value as a person. I do not understand you, she said. I have never met people like you. Good, Jake said with a smile. That means we are doing something right. As they stood there under the stars, Zara realized something important. She was not just a refugee anymore. She was part of something bigger. She was part of a community that believed in protecting each other, no matter the cost. Tomorrow, the Corvans might come. Tomorrow, there might be fighting and danger and fear. But tonight, she was surrounded by people who saw her as worth protecting. Tonight, she was home. The Corvan ships arrived 3 days later, appearing in the sky like dark clouds bringing a storm. There were 5 of them, each one large enough to carry 100 soldiers. They hung in the air above Haven's edge like giant metal beasts, casting shadows over the peaceful valley. Zara stood at the window of the Miller house, watching the ships with growing dread. She had seen ships like these before when the Corvans had attacked her research vessel. She knew what they meant: pain, slavery, death. They found me, she whispered. Jake stood beside her, his face calm but serious. They found the world, he said, but they have not found you yet. It does not matter, Zara said. They will search everywhere. They will not leave until they have me. Maybe, Jake said, but they might be surprised by what they find here. Lisa and Emma joined them at the window. Emma put her hand on Zara's shoulder, a gesture of comfort that still amazed the small Velith. A week ago, she would have been terrified of any large creature touching her. Now Emma's touch made her feel less alone. What will happen? Zara asked. We will see, Jake said. But remember, you are not alone anymore. Whatever happens, we face it together. The first Corvan shuttle landed in the center of the small town. The ship was black and ugly, with sharp edges and no windows. It looked like a weapon, not a vehicle for carrying people. The shuttle's door opened with a hiss of steam. 10 Corvan soldiers came out, followed by their captain. The Corvans were massive creatures, twice as tall as the humans and 3 times as wide. Their skin was dark green and covered with scales. Their eyes were yellow and cold. Their teeth were long and sharp. Captain Throck was the largest of them all. He wore armor that gleamed in the sunlight and carried weapons that could kill a dozen people with one shot. He looked around the peaceful town with disgust, as if kindness itself was offensive to him. The humans of Haven's edge gathered in the town square, but they did not look afraid. Jake walked forward to meet the Corvans, and Ben and Mary and Frank walked with him. They moved slowly and calmly, showing no fear. I am Captain Throck of the Corvan Empire, the big alien announced. His voice was like rocks grinding together. We are looking for escaped property, a Velith scientist. You will surrender her to us immediately. Property? Jake asked. You mean a person? The Velith are not people, Throck said. They are animals. Valuable animals, but animals nonetheless. This one belongs to us. No one belongs to anyone else, Jake said quietly. All thinking beings have the right to be free. The Corvans laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Freedom is for the strong, Throck said. The weak exist to serve the strong. This is the law of the galaxy. Not on this world, Jake said. Throck's eyes narrowed. Then we will change the law. Of this world, where is the Velith? Safe, Jake said. And she will remain safe. You are making a mistake, human, Throck said. We know she is here. Her escape pod's trail leads to this world. We will search every building until we find her. No, Jake said. You will not. The Corvans raised their weapons. The humans did not move. They stood still and calm, facing creatures that could easily kill them all. You have no weapons, Throck said. You have no ships. You have nothing. How will you stop us? We will stop you, Jake said, because stopping you is the right thing to do. From her hiding place in the house, Zara watched the confrontation with growing fear. The humans were brave, but they were also outnumbered. The Corvans had superior weapons and ships. This would be a slaughter. She could not let that happen. Zara made a decision that would have seemed impossible a week ago. She opened the door and walked out into the street. Every step was terrifying, but she kept walking until she stood beside Jake. I am here, she said in the human language she had been learning. I am the one you want. Throke's eyes lit up when he saw her. Excellent. Come to us now, and we will not harm these humans. No, Zara said. I will not come with you. You have no choice, Throk said. You are property. You do what we tell you to do? I am not property, Zara said, her voice growing stronger. I am a person. I have a name. I have thoughts and feelings and dreams. I am not a thing to be owned. The humans have filled your head with foolish ideas, Throk said. You will forget them soon enough. She will not forget, Jake said, because she is not going with you. Then you will all die, Throk said. Is one small animal worth your lives? Yes, Jake said without hesitation. She is. The other humans nodded in agreement. Ben and Mary and Frank and Tom, all of them willing to die for a small creature they had known for only a week. Why? Throk asked. What is she to you? She is not your species. She cannot help you fight. She is weak and small and useless. Why do you care what happens to her? Because caring is what makes us human, Jake said. Because protecting the innocent is what makes us strong. Because standing up to bullies is what makes us good. Foolish, Throk said. Strength comes from taking what you want. Power comes from making others afraid. You understand nothing. We understand more than you think. Jake said. That was when the surprise came. The peaceful farmers and teachers and doctors of Haven's Edge were not what they seemed. At Jake's signal, they moved with military precision. Weapons appeared from hidden places. The humans spread out in formation, turning from gentle civilians into trained soldiers in seconds. The Corvans were caught off guard. They had expected frightened farmers, not experienced fighters. Their first shots went wide as the humans rolled and dodged with practiced skill, but the real surprise was still coming. The ground around the Corvan shuttle began to shake. Metal panels slid back, revealing hidden turrets and defensive systems. The peaceful town square was actually a cleverly disguised fortress. What is this? Throk roared. Haven's Edge, Jake said, taking cover behind a barrier that had risen from the ground. We told you. We protect people who need protection. The battle was fierce but short. The Corvans were strong and had good weapons, but they were not prepared for the humans' tactics. Every building had hidden defenses. Every street had traps. Every civilian was actually a trained soldier. The humans had been preparing for this day for years. Within minutes, the Corvan soldiers were down. Some were dead. Others were wounded and captured. Only Captain Throk remained standing, his armor protecting him from the humans' weapons. Impossible, he said. You are just farmers. You are weak. We are strong, Jake said, because we choose to be strong for others instead of just for ourselves. Throk raised his weapon toward Zara. If I cannot have her, then no one can. But before he could fire, Emma appeared behind him. The teenager moved with deadly grace, disarming the huge alien with a combat technique that would have impressed any soldier. I told you, Jake said to the fallen Corvan captain. We protect people who need protection. More Corvan shuttles landed, but they found the same resistance. The humans of Haven's Edge were ready for them. What the Corvans had thought would be an easy raid became a costly defeat. When the fighting was over, the remaining Corvans were prisoners. Their ships were disabled, their weapons were captured. You cannot do this, Throk said from his prison cell. We are the Corvan Empire. We take what we want. We own what we choose to own. Not anymore, Jake said. Not here. Others will come, Throk said. When we do not return, they will send more ships, bigger ships. You cannot fight the entire galaxy. We will see, Jake said. We have friends you do not know about. As if to prove his point, new ships appeared in the sky, but these were not Corvan vessels. They were human military ships, sleek and powerful and numerous. The Galactic Defense Force, Jake explained to Zara. Some humans still serve in the official military. They have been watching Haven's Edge for a long time, waiting for someone to threaten our people. You planned this, Zara said. We hoped we would never need to use these plans, Jake said. But we prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. The human military ships surrounded the Corvan vessels still in orbit. The message was clear: leave now or face a war you cannot win. I do not understand, Throck said. Why do you fight for creatures that are not your own species? What do you gain? We gain the right to look at ourselves in the mirror, Jake said. We gain the knowledge that we are the kind of people we want to be. That is not an answer, Throck said. It is the only answer that matters, Jake replied. As the Corvan ships retreated, defeated and humiliated, Zara found herself standing in the town square, surrounded by people who had risked everything for her. People who had fought and bled too. Keep her safe. Why? She asked Jake. Why did you do all this for me? Because you are worth it, Jake said simply. Because every person is worth it. Because this is what good people do. Zara looked around at the faces of the humans and the other refugees, all of them looking at her with kindness and acceptance. She realized that she had found something she had never expected to find in the galaxy. She had found a home. She had found family. She had found people who would fight for her not because they had to, but because they chose to. For the first time in her life, Zara understood what it meant to be truly free. 1 month after the Corvan attack, Zara stood in the same spot where her escape pod had crashed. The wreckage was gone now, cleaned up by the humans who turned everything into something useful. Where twisted metal had once lain, Jake had planted a garden of flowers that bloomed in colors Zara had never seen before. It is beautiful, she said, watching the flowers dance in the warm breeze. New life from destruction, Jake said, standing beside her. That is what we try to do here. Take broken things and make them whole again, Zara smiled. She had learned to smile in the weeks since the battle. It felt strange at first, showing happiness so openly. Her people had learned to hide their emotions, to never let others see joy or hope. But here on Haven's Edge, smiling was safe. I have made a decision, she said. What kind of decision? Jake asked. I want to stay here. I want to help you build this world. I want to be part of what you are doing. Jake nodded. We would be honored to have you, but are you sure? You could leave if you wanted. Find other Velith communities. Search for what remains of your home world. This is my home now, Zara said. These are my people now. All of us. Together, it was true. In the months since the battle, Zara had found her place in the Haven's Edge community. She used her scientific knowledge to help improve their farming methods. She taught the other refugees about technology and engineering. She helped the human children learn about different species and cultures, but most importantly, she had learned what it meant to be free. I have been thinking, she said to Jake, about what you told Captain Throck, about how you gain the right to look at yourself in the mirror. What about it? I want to look at myself in the mirror and see someone who helps others the way you help me. I want to be someone who fights for people who cannot fight for themselves. Jake smiled. You already are that person, Zara. You proved it when you stepped out to face the Corvans. You could have stayed hidden, but you chose to protect us instead. That was just one moment, Zara said. I want to do more. I want to help other people like me find this place. I want to help other refugees escape from the slavers. That is dangerous work, Jake said. The Corvans will not forget what happened here. They will be looking for revenge. Then we must be ready for them, Zara said. And we must help as many people as we can before they come back. Over the following weeks, Zara began working with the human military officers who had stayed on Haven's Edge. They taught her how to use communication, equipment to send secret messages across the galaxy. They showed her how to set up safe routes for refugee ships to reach the hidden world. The work was hard and sometimes dangerous. The Corvans and other slaver species were always listening, always watching. But Zara had learned from the humans that doing the right thing was worth the risk. The first group of refugees she helped save were Velith like herself, a family of 5 who had escaped from a prison world where they had been forced to work in dangerous mines. When their ship limped into Haven's Edge, damaged and running out of fuel, Zara was there to meet them. You are safe now, she told them. In their own language. These humans will protect you. They will help you build a new life. The Veleth family looked at her with the same confusion and fear she had felt weeks ago. They could not understand why the large, strong humans would help small, weak creatures like them. "Watch," Zara told them. "Learn, you will see that there are people in this galaxy who choose to be good." And they did see. Just as Zara had learned, the refugee family discovered that the humans of Haven's Edge were unlike any species they had ever met. They were given food and shelter and medical care. They were treated as equals, not as property or animals. More refugees came in the following months. Tinari fleeing from collectors who wanted their beautiful shells. Squeep escaping from mines, where they had been worked to death. Even some members of larger species who had been enslaved by those stronger than themselves. Each group arrived, expecting cruelty and found kindness instead. Each family learned what Zara had learned, that true strength came from protecting others, not from hurting them. Zara became the bridge between the refugees and the humans. She spoke many languages and understood the fears that came with being hunted. She helped newcomers adjust to their new lives. She taught them that they were people, not property, but she also did more than that. She began reaching out to other worlds, other communities of refugees. She sent messages telling them about Haven's Edge and the humans who had built it. She helped organize rescue missions for people trapped in slavery. The work was not without danger. Slaver ships sometimes followed the refugee vessels, trying to recapture their property, but the humans of Haven's Edge were always ready. Their peaceful appearance hid a military force that could defend their world against any threat. One day, a message came that changed everything. It was from a group of Veleth scientists who had been hiding on a distant world. They had been working on something important, something that could help their entire species. "We have found a way to locate the scattered Veleth communities," the message said. "We have technology that can help us reunite our people, but we need a safe place to work. We need protection from the slavers." Zara brought the message to Jake and the other human leaders. "They want to come here," she said. "But this could bring even more danger. If the Corvans learn that Veleth scientists are gathering here, they will send everything they have to stop us." "How many of your people are we talking about?" Jake asked. "Hundreds, maybe thousands, scattered across dozens of worlds. If we can bring them together, if we can give them a safe place to work, they might be able to rebuild what was lost." The humans looked at each other. Zara could see them thinking about the risks. More refugees meant more danger, more attention from the slavers, more chances for their peaceful world to be discovered and attacked. "We will do it," Jake said finally. "We will help you bring your people home, but the danger," Zara said, "the risk to your families. We came here to build something better," Lisa said. "What could be better than giving an entire species the chance to be free again?" And so the great gathering began. Veleth scientists and engineers and teachers began. Arriving on Haven's Edge, they brought with them the scattered knowledge of their people. The technology and wisdom that had been preserved through years of hiding and slavery. Working together with the humans, they began to build something amazing. Not just a sanctuary for refugees, but a new center of learning and science. A place where different species could work together as equals, sharing their knowledge and skills to make life better for everyone. The Corvans did come back. As Jake had predicted, they brought more ships, more soldiers, more weapons. But they found a very different world than the one they had attacked before. Haven's Edge was no longer just a hidden colony. It had become a symbol of hope for refugees across the galaxy. When the Corvans arrived, they found not just human defenders, but ships from dozens of species who had come to protect the world that had given them freedom. The battle was fierce, but the outcome was never in doubt. The forces of slavery and cruelty were no match for the combined strength of those who had chosen to be free. After the victory, Zara stood once again in the garden where her escape pod had crashed. The flowers Jake had planted had grown tall and strong, their colors bright against the evening sky. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked him. "Choosing to help people like me instead of living quietly?" Jake smiled. "Every person we have helped, Every life we have saved, every refugee who has found safety here, that is what makes us who we are. That is what makes us human. And that is what makes us free, Zara added. She looked up at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, other refugees were making their way to Haven's Edge. Other people who had been told they were property were about to learn they were persons. Other families who had lost hope were about to find a new home. The galaxy was still a dangerous place. There were still species who preyed on the weak, who saw kindness as weakness and cruelty as strength. But now there was also something else. There was proof that a different way was possible. There was proof that the strong could choose to protect the weak instead of exploiting them. There was proof that different species could work together as equals. There was proof that hope could triumph over fear, and it all started with a small, frightened creature who crashed on a world where she expected to be eaten and instead found a family who chose to love her. Zara smiled as she watched the stars. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new refugees, new opportunities to help others find their way to freedom. But tonight she was home. Tonight she was surrounded by people who saw her not as prey, but as family. Tonight she was free, and she would spend the rest of her life helping others find that same freedom. The galaxy was changing, one rescued refugee at a time. And it was changing because some people had chosen to be better than they had to be. It was changing because some people had chosen to be human.